It says live. Hello, hello. I'm Nels. I've been studying games for 20 years. I actually have been streaming for the last year on Twitch, and this is really just a test to see how everything works over here on YouTube. Looks like one of these things is working, but I probably shouldn't close the window just in case. I'm just gonna minimize that since I've sort of cobbled a few things together here to make it work. This is my very first time hitting go live here on YouTube. Hello, everybody. So we'll see how it goes. What I had planned for today was maybe not something super long since it's the middle of a dang heat wave. Actually, when I was testing this, I actually could not hear the fan on the microphone, so we'll hope that that stays true. It's a new mic. I'm pretty excited about it. But yeah, so hopefully that doesn't, like just crank out and ruin absolutely everything. Maybe it'll help us stream just a little bit longer. Let's get to it. This is the Goon server, one of our friends on Twitch and actually here on YouTube. He's been on YouTube a lot longer than me. He's got a server going and we've been building some stuff, but I figured going around and doing different things on this server, some chores, could help us talk about how Minecraft is art. And I'm gonna hit this fan for a second because it is ungodly loud. Even if it's not coming up on the microphone, it is absolutely coming up in my face. That sounded bad. Yeah, so one of my favorite things to lecture about and research is that connection between games and older mediums. Do games qualify as what we would call in film or in literature art? I think the answer is yes, but the complicated answer is more than just, there are 12 different factors. They're called cluster criteria that scholars use in other mediums. There's also the question of why we would care, why art would make a difference and what we can use it for. And I think the big answer to that, the big reason we would want to say that Minecraft is or is not art, or games are art. This is my totally normal cottage. The main reason we would talk about why they're art and how they're art is so that we can talk about them more effectively. Like we can have more specific things to say. And, like there are a lot of different ways to critique different games and bring depth to why we like something or why we don't like something. And this is one more way, and I think it has really interesting tools because being able to say that something is or isn't art can have a real power when you're, especially someone like me who grew up with media as definitely something that was not always seen as legit. So we put stuff in here to take to the village that our friend is building up. And also, I like to keep map stuff because one of my favorite things to do when I'm on a Minecraft server with friends is to map. But yeah, this is our ridiculous extra storage that I don't really use too much. But it's nice to have. And it's kind of fun to build. It's kind of fun to do the architecture. One other stream or video, honestly, I'd really like to make is talking about Minecraft construction and architectural theories. And I think that there are 3 things that I don't really see covered that can help you make really strong Minecraft designs. And, designs in any sort of base building that you're doing. And so that could be a lot of fun to get into at some point. I don't know. So the first thing that we would want to look at if we were going to talk about how something is art, something especially like games, but you know, even in cinema, in literature, is there an element of direct pleasure? Is there something that is just innately satisfying about a work, like an aesthetic work? And I do really think that games fit under this category of aesthetics, you know, something that is created. What's interesting is that more so than any other medium, they're experiences and aesthetic experiences at that. So like J.R.R. Tolkien says, you can step into a story that another mind is weaving. And he's talking about literature, but we can absolutely do that here. Like we can step into this story that someone else has created. And there are layers to that. This Minecraft here is not the Minecraft that maybe Notch envisioned, although maybe he did envision people creating all sorts of different variations. But in games generally, we're having this experiential element that really isn't as available in some other mediums. In books, you can create the world around you, and Tolkien thought that was vastly superior to like theater, where you have to really like not so much suspend disbelief as just throw it out the window. When you get to direct pleasure, though, you know, it means certain things in cinema, it means certain things in books, but I think in games, direct pleasure comes down to fun. And at least that's a really easy one. Like, it's really easy to get into engagement because so many scholars looking at games have tracked all these different ways that games are fun. And if you look, some of the more recent stuff that I and especially library science people have worked on is what's called like appeal factors. Anyway, like there's so many different formats for direct pleasure, and if that is like the first way we can, you know, quantify something as art, then games absolutely fit. So like Minecraft has so many different ways to find the fun. There's the, you know, excitement and challenge of going into the nether. The thrill of combat. There's the satisfaction, if you didn't want to fight those pig guys, of just wearing a piece of gold armor. so you don't have to do it. We just I guess opted to just murder their faces. Sorry, pig dudes. I guess if I was sorry, I wouldn't have done it. It's literally a big part of a book that I wrote and a lot of research that gets into like appeal factors, direct pleasure, fun, like what makes games really engaging. And so, yeah, that qualifies them as art. Okay. I think that's the one we were seeing earlier. Let's just go ahead and set this up so that I can like just bomb around in the nether with all my fancy gear and see if I survive talking about fancy sciencey BS. Did I call it BS? It's not. It's legit. A lot of the research into cluster criteria, and actually one of the books that I really enjoy that gets into theoretical art. You know, there are a lot of different entry points to that. You can go back to folks like Aristotle, like you can look at the Poetics, and people do. You can go back and look at critical theorists, you know, like Walter Benjamin and folks who were looking at stuff like mass production of experience. Like Walter Benjamin, he was looking at things like movie theaters and the fact that, you know, everyone watching a movie in a theater was having similar enough an experience that it really reminded him of factory production, the mass production of the times, that we were essentially mass producing experience. Oh, didn't get it. Sucks to suck. And this again gets into some of the thrill, some of the fun. And I think points towards one of the other factors that you can talk about if you're talking about how games are art. And that's skill and virtuosity, not necessarily me here, like sucking at video games, but when you're looking at the skill and virtuosity it takes to create something like Minecraft, especially for a solo dev like Notch, say nothing of other stuff, around the person Notch, like if we just look at what it took to create something like Minecraft, there's an absolute need to be aesthetically competent to create the textures, to be able to do the coding, but also to envision something like this, to be able to come up with this whole idea that we're going to create something that is procedural, at the very least be in touch with the times. Like, one of the things I've talked a little bit about is that there are some other games that do really similar things to Minecraft that were created at the same time, other equally indie games, and I think are just as beautiful. For instance, like Proteus, absolutely gorgeous indie game that is pixel based, that is very procedural, but what Proteus does is so different to what we're seeing here in Minecraft. In both cases, though, the Ed Key and David Kanaga doing Proteus, or Marcus Persson doing Minecraft, like, you have this element of skill and virtuosity. And what's really interesting when you get into the streaming spaces, that conversation about skill and virtuosity, you can also take it and start to look at how maybe streaming and really effective streamers could perhaps be called, and maybe in some time, like maybe even the really unabashedly React streamers, like maybe even those guys will start to be seen as artists of a particular fashion. And I can chuckle, I can give a little chuckle about it, but 10 years ago, if you were talking about folks openly discussing how games are art, you might have gotten some similar chuckles. People might have been just as incredulous. So we're full up on inventory. Let's head back out of the nether and hope we don't have to murder 20 more pigmen because we decided not to. Oh, well, sorry, dude. Yeah. Okay. So skill and virtuosity, yeah, and like I said, not me like sort of sucking here in the nether. Probably gonna fall into some lava with all my mending gear. But folks like Persson, folks like Ed Key, David Kanaga, creating something that is mechanically interesting and like combining all these elements from previous mediums takes a certain level of skill that's really kind of rare. Hey, what's up, Aaron? How you doing? This is my very first YouTube screen. Level 12 for netherite? Thanks. When I get back to that, I'm gonna stick to 12. I'm just kind of messing around and doing more like theoretical talk about Minecraft and how it's art, because I think that kind of stuff is really neat. This is my friend's SMP server, and this is where they have reset spawn to be. Someone's got a really cool farmhouse over there. There's this, let me just like from a distance, this treehouse is amazing. Up close, it's amazing. Check that out. Someone made a CD shop. This is one that I made just a couple of days ago, and this is just like an outfitting station, just in case someone loses all their diamond and wants a quick refresh. But there's all sorts of other just like supply stuff there. I haven't really messed with these stables yet, but I would like to. And then this is my totally normal cottage that's it's got some stuff. It's yeah, got like a little infestation of these LA guys. Let's go ahead and throw some more in here. I think there should be plenty of lava, but I really want this blackstone as well, because what I'd like to add is a tower on the side. There's a big communal enchanting area, but I'd really like to throw a little bit more into my base so that I don't have to necessarily run around to get that stuff done. And actually, I'll probably fix up some of this and then put it into the community area. But it's pretty cool to have that, especially since there's just like nice village stuff. You know, like there's a village that another friend of ours has built up with like a mending villager and just a sharpness 5, like looting, silk touch, all that stuff. But I'm just messing around. Yeah, anyway, so like there are 12 different ways that, you know, like we could 12 different cluster criteria we use to talk about whether or not something might be art. We've talked about 2, direct pleasure, which is like fun, and skill and virtuosity, which is the skill of the developer especially to come up with something like this. And actually what would be really fun, I think, would be mapping. So I'm going to take a couple maps. Not off the wall. I think we want... Let's see. We're just going to want to take maybe 1 end chest so that we can pop open our mapping station and just like grab what we need. I don't think I'll take diamond horse armor. I think I'll just take a horse. And then I think this is map 2. Yep. And we don't have a map for up there. Let's see. We'll probably want a cartography station though, so let's build that. Oh, TNT. Yeah, I mean, Aaron, I appreciate that. I actually have a few followers over on Twitch, nothing crazy. This is just me trying out YouTube to see what it's like to just hit go live here and chat. I mean, I hope everything sounds and looks okay. But yeah, I really appreciate you know, some chat love already. This is awesome. We should probably take some wood with us if we're just gonna like roll around mapping. And yeah, that's probably not like the key to like followers. I think, you know, what is the next one? Style. Oh man. So like to be qualifying as, you know, art, something should have a real distinct sense of not just visual style. And, you know, songs can have style, so like audio style or art direction or anything like that. What we're really looking for in style in games is, I think, a connection between all the elements. You know, and what you are doing in this game so nicely matches this pixel block aesthetic. And arguably Minecraft created a whole, not only visual style, but gameplay mechanical style, such that people, even academics, were arguing whether or not, things like Terraria were direct knockoff copycats. And so you even have, folks in academic spaces talking about like how Minecraft is set up, like, and how iconic it really is. I think that's so cool. But like stylistically, you could absolutely say that Minecraft is not only effective, but it's really, really unique. I would say that absolutely. And yeah, the fact that we can say that about Minecraft bodes really well for games. Like, that if we can say any one game is art, then we can turn around and say, like, this makes the case that games in general are art. I think that's so neat. And let's see, one other cluster criteria, which is, I think, really heavily linked here, is novelty and creativity. We forgot our maps. We have the like ender chest. That'd be pretty silly to just use that to grab those things. So we want one map 2, and I think this one here will also want, this is map 7. So we might eventually wind up on map 7. And so let's go ahead and make a few copies, because this is where everyone on the server can come if they just want free maps of the world. So we don't want to totally clean it out. Let's go ahead and do that. And that. And we can, with the cartography station, make as many of these as we really want. So we'll just take these maps, and I've really wanted to ride the horses around for a little bit. So let's do that. Novelty and creativity. What's pretty cool about Minecraft is that it's not only a really novel concept in and of itself, and not only really creative in how person was able to combine a lot of different things that other people were working on, although, no one was really, I think, nailing it to this degree. When we individually get to hop in here and play through, like, I mean, this game has for over a decade been lauded for the level of creativity it allows other, like the players to use. What is going on here? This is is this like a mechanical bull? What's going on with this cauldron? I need to ask the owner of this house what's going on. But I love this. The mangrove building materials are so nice. Oh, they have donkeys and skeleton horses and llamas. Awesome. Awesome. This is a super, super nice house and barn. And that, I mean, just goes to really illustrate this point that, like, if the 4th cluster criteria is novelty and creativity, this game doesn't just give us that in terms of the base game and what we can play from the developer, but, like, look at the texturing on this smokestack and just the way that the fencing is laid out. The owner of this house told me that they were working off some tutorials, but even then, Like, this is just incredible. It's really cool. All right. I think we will eventually hit the upper edge here, and then we're going to start unlocking more of the map. All right, there's a village up here. This is the path I first took when I first got onto this server. Oh, we should have taken leads. It's all right. A boat, honestly, would be more efficient, but it's kind of fun to use the horses since I've been breeding the horses. Criticism. The fifth cluster criteria that Dennis Dutton, in his book, The Art Instinct, the fifth criteria he brings out is criticism. Can people critique it? Is there a healthy community of people critiquing not only a work, but, you know, like, does a work actually get critiqued by big establishments? And the establishments, that's another category that comes in a little bit later. But honestly, like, Minecraft has become its own force. Like, Minecraft absolutely has massive critical establishments surrounding it that talk about this game and pour over this game. I think in terms of, you know, like, criticism, it exists absolutely in excess for the game. The sixth category, like, or cluster criteria that folks studying art and games would use to say this game is art, or not that people say it, usually, like, that this film is art, like that a work is art, is representation. What does it represent in the world? Like, what, and to what degree is it effectively representing? It could be a lot of different things. It could be, you know, 16th century politics in Japan. It could be beautiful landscapes. It could be certain emotions. Through the mechanics, I would say there's a huge amount of freedom that we get in this game. Like, it allows us to really expand out and, well, not only endlessly explore, which, if you're looking at, you know, fun and ways that fun is quantified, like, it's one of the original ways we talked about it with, like, Richard Bartle's 4 player types. Like, one of the key types of players in the world, like, likes to explore, enjoys that feeling of exploration. And that's what I'm doing right now. I am mapping on horseback and riding by zombies. And there's something just really satisfying about that, which does take it back. Like, a lot of things in games take it back to the first cluster criteria for art, which is direct pleasure. That there's so much in this game that is just nice to do. It's just really pleasurable. Innately, intrinsically, which is important. You know, like, it's one thing to work towards extrinsic goals, those that are like achievements or things outside of you, like things that feel like work or things that you have to work at, and those can be satisfying in certain ways. But something that is just intrinsically and really deeply satisfying is going to deliver on that satisfaction in a way that you're not necessarily going to find in something that's just about the goals and just about achieving. though that is another one of Bartle's player types, achievers. So there's 4. There's the explorers, the achievers, the socializers, and the killers. And so I think maybe, Aaron, I'm not sure if you're still around, but when we're talking about, like, netherite power, but, like TNT, like TNT can have some absolute applications when it comes to like, like blowing stuff up and messing with our friends. Like TNT, yeah. I remember when this game was still fairly new, but we still had TNT. And especially if you were raiding the desert temples, you could get tons and tons of it. And just like the feeling of loading up your friend's farm with TNT is actually one of the first things I did with my partner when I was showing her some of my friends' farms. Like one of the first things we did was just get a bunch of TNT and just line one of my friends' farms with it. And it's silly, and I think like there was like a give and a take there. Like that was by him considered some like appropriate trolling, like just some fine like back and forth. Let's take the map down here for a second, because we've got a crevasse and a creeper and a mangrove forest and a jungle and all sorts of other stuff. This is pretty bonkers. All right, maybe we can get away with the map again. Well, I don't know. Just rolling through the dark here. It's kind of fun though. Although pretty dangerous. Uh-oh, Atreyu. What was that? The never-ending story where the horse gets stuck. This is giving me some real flashbacks to all that. Yeah. This is no good. Maybe we need to bust out our enchanted shovel and just blast through this stuff. So much, though, here that's really satisfying. Oh, actual mangrove wood. Nice. I don't think I've actually gotten any of the wood outside of roots. Just carve a little path for our guy here. Criticism, though. If the 5th category or cluster criteria for whether something is art is criticism, like what I'm doing right now would, to a certain extent, qualify as criticism. We're talking about how Minecraft is art. People talk to death just on, even if you were just looking at something like Reddit, people are constantly giving, thoughts and additional opinions on Minecraft. Not that is considered like a font of critical, like excellence or anything. I think it can have good stuff sometimes, but actual critical institutions exist to put things like Minecraft and other games into the Smithsonian. Like, we have an understanding that these aesthetic experiences matter, and even something that is as simple as these blocks can help us to say that games are art. And then representation. What are we representing here? Like, there's a clear representation to what is in the world. Like, the developers are adding biomes. The developers are constantly adding stuff that is not just representative of a real world, but has started to, with things like allays and when it started off with things like creepers, really makes the case that, you know, this is also kind of a fantastical world. There are mystical and mysterious elements to it. While we're talking about the Smithsonian, actually, like the 7th cluster criteria for how games are art would be special focus. So in something like a museum, can you put it on top of the jeweled plinth, you know, like the gilded stand? Like, can you make space for the game in a way that is separate and apart and shows that this is something special? Sometimes with my looting guy here, I can get a little bit of extra gold armor, which can be pretty nice for actually getting down into the nether where we're at. And it's daytime again. We did it. We explored while... Oh, sucks to suck. I'm not jumping very good on my horse. Nice parrots. It's actually a pretty classical, like, iconic look for a parrot. Like a parakeet. Cool. It's actually up around here where I found a giant lush cave that took me down into some skulker areas. And so I may swing back on the way back if I'm feeling it. Games, though, they have been in some of the, you know, not the main British Museum, but when I was in London, the last time I was in London, there was a games exhibit at one of the big art museums in London. Wow, this is really gorgeous. It's nice. Oh man, what a cool parakeet. That's awesome. Look at how far this extends over the top of everything. That's just really pretty. I need to think now for a second, like looking at my map, which way do I want to progress through here? Can my horse jump this high? Oh, horse is OP. This goes on forever. This might be a lot easier to map if I stay on top of the tree line. Sorry, horse. Good deal, good deal. Nice. But yeah, I mean, games and Minecraft included in museums, that's like really, that's kind of a gimme for special focus. That's kind of like a, it almost feels too easy to point that one out, but it is the case. And so really we can say that Minecraft in that category, in that, you know, like cluster, is art. One category, and I'm not actually sure how well Minecraft does for this. One thing that we're looking for in art is some expression of the individuality of the creator. So without knowing person or anything like that, oh, failure. Without knowing him, I don't really know how Minecraft fits that, like how Minecraft is something that is uniquely his, that only he could make. Oh, wait, We lost the tree line, but it looks like we're almost out of these mangroves. Hey, it's a white toad. Hey, buddy. Whoa, you're just gonna hop right over my head? That's cool. What's cool here, though, and this actually is a really good place to talk about imaginative experience. It's actually the last of the cluster criteria, but one of the most important is that we can have our own unique experience. Like we, the players, or the readers, or the cinema watchers, we have an experience that is uniquely our own. But more than that, we start to tell stories about what it is that we've seen. We do things like, and in games, this can look like cosplay. This can look like fan fiction. This can look like fan art. But we have this imaginative experience all our own. But, you know, like, when I'm streaming this and these guys are hopping over me and I'm just like chatting with these frogs, that feels very much to me like a fulfillment of imaginative experience. Like it is giving me all these pieces, all these puzzle pieces that I am putting together and having, I think, a really unique, really good experience. Look at these just like cliff faces. This is awesome. So we've actually gotten through 9 of these. One of the others, and this can relate to direct pleasure, but emotional saturation, that there are certain emotions we feel at different parts of the aesthetic experience. And games being such an experience, I think this really helps them. But like for me, we were down in the nether, and so there was that almost puckersome feeling of being, you know, in the nether, like, this is worrisome. We can have, and I think that for a lot of reasons, Minecraft can be the world's greatest horror game, but one of the things that starts to happen is you're in the middle of something completely different and a creeper comes out of nowhere, blows you up. Emperor, what's up? How you doing? I'm just here doing a little bit of light exploration on my friend's SMP server and talking about how Minecraft is art. But welcome in. I usually stream on Twitch, so this is, honestly, this is my first time testing out a YouTube stream. I hope everything looks and sounds okay. But thanks for saying hi. How's your day or night going? I know that YouTube can be a pretty global place. I'm here from the west coast of the USA, where temperatures are extremely high. But this is a nice distraction. This is nice to cool off. And I love getting a chance to nerd out about games and aesthetics. We've gone through a few different criteria that people who study art would use to say that something like a film or a book is a work of art, you know, a painting, anything like that. And we're applying them to games in general, but Minecraft in particular. And so one that I think is really interesting here in Minecraft, the one we're on, is emotional saturation. And I don't know about you, but I can feel a pretty wide range of emotions when I'm playing. Like right now, mapping and chatting, it feels just extremely relaxed. And it might be easy to say, oh, well, like relaxation isn't like emotional saturation. I would really beg to differ. I think having something that you can chill out with and relax with is incredibly valuable, but also a mark of something well made. But, there's the excitement, there's mischief, like if we wanted to, we're not going to mess with any of our friends' houses here or any of the stuff that they're working on. But people do. And that's one of the things with Minecraft is like there's so much variation. There's so many ways to play this game that honestly, like, emotional saturation, I think, does really, really well with Minecraft. Really, really speaks well to its ability to, let us say games are art. But when you look at the kinds of games being played on YouTube or Twitch, there's also such a huge variation, like there's horror games if you want to feel abject terror. There's comedy games. One of the things I really like to play sometimes is an indie game called Jazz Punk, which is freaking it's hilarious. I think it's a really funny game. Beauty, one game that was made at the same time as Minecraft that I think a lot of Minecraft players would really, really love, but it's just not as well known. It uses a lot of the same procedural generation. It uses a lot of really, really similar techniques, has beautiful music. It is called Proteus. And like, honestly, like the development cycle was happening at the same time as Minecraft. Like while this was being made, Proteus was also being made, and it was getting shown at a lot of the same conferences and shows, reviewed by the same people in games journalism. And Minecraft has taken on such a huge life of its own. Baby cow. Baby cow. And Proteus is still just an amazing, beautiful experience to get into. But I think has been forgotten, and maybe not without good cause. Maybe I think it deserves to be remembered just as much as Minecraft. We're going to take one of these villagers' beds for the night. We actually mapped and explored through the night last night, but there's a bed right here. We'll just use it. I think we usually travel with one because it's good etiquette on an SMP. Like, people may need you to hop in bed, and so if you have one, you can just do that wherever. We could loot up this village and see what we could find, but that's not really where I'm at right now. I think right now I'm on the explorating kind of vibe. What I'm really hoping to find for everyone else on this server and for myself is Mesa, to get some of that sweet terracotta for decorating. So if I find that, I'll be pretty stoked. But we've done a bit of exploring and we haven't seen any of that yet. All right. So the 10th out of 12 cluster criteria for art is intellectual challenge. In painting, if you're talking about whether something is art, this could be a painting like the Night Watch, where you've got so much that's being said about the people being portrayed visually and through really subtle visual hints. So if you are literate in painting, but if you are literate in the times and you're really exploring that painting in an inquisitive, curious fashion, you will start to detect things. Things will start to become, if not obvious, like start to make you wonder, like, what is it that the painter is actually trying to say with this? Games, I think, do intellectual challenge sometimes in a really straightforward, direct fashion. Like sometimes with Tetris, you've got a space for 3 blocks. You've got to, like a block coming up that fits that space, you put that block into that space. It's pretty one-to-one. World of Goo, likewise, like you are putting together these goo blocks, you're trying to get through levels. What's like a more recent iteration on this? Like what's something that's come out pretty recently? Do I play new games or do I just play Minecraft from 2011, 2012? Come on, what's something that's come out recently? Even something like League of Legends or Dead by Daylight, and neither of those is super recent. You know, you're doing some math, you're putting some thought into how things are organized. Trying to think, like, what's a game that's come out pretty recently that's just like doing math, doing science. But a lot of the times it's more subtle. As you start to understand the mechanics, you start to understand what you can get away with, what you can't get away with. And so you'll look at something like lava in the Nether, and knowing the destructive potential of lava in the Nether, you will make choices based around not falling into the lava. And that challenge, that level of risk is always there. And that's pretty exciting. I'm tempted to go on a tangent about scholars in game studies who talk about risk and why stuff like permadeath is so interesting. And maybe I should just make more of this stuff into videos. I should just make YouTube videos about this stuff, right? Meanwhile, I'm not streaming on Twitch, where I have actually built a following. No, this is interesting though. Like, it's kind of neat. I actually have no idea if people are actually hanging out, lurking, watching, and I'm just talking about how Minecraft is art on a totally new platform and trying it out. It's pretty neat. The world is an interesting place. So one of the, I think the final cluster criteria that we hadn't talked about before, ooh, jungle temple. The final criteria would be institutions. Can I just like peek? I know that there is some intense danger here. We could get pretty badly poisoned and stuff. So let's actually throw on health and regen. You can say that one, big criteria is the special focus, putting something on the plinth at the Smithsonian. You can say that critique is a big one, having critics actually willing to look at and discuss whether something is art, is valuable. Oh, okay, I think that's... But what you start to get when a medium has been considered art is these larger institutions that start to build up in order to allow folks like scholars, folks like academics, and other game developers to talk about their work. And when you hit that point, it's not just that, maybe one game or one particular work is art. It's that you're talking about a pattern, you're talking about art more generally. And I really do think games are there. We have those institutions, we have these cluster criteria. So Minecraft is art, and so are games. And we've totally like gone and done a failure temple. I'm gonna end the stream here and see how everything went. For anyone who's been hanging out, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed. And anyone searching this and finding it later, if that happens, I hope you enjoyed. If you stuck around this long, man, thanks so much. Like, I'm not even gonna ask like for like likes or subs. Like, just the fact that you're following along is awesome. And if you want to see more, you know, let me know. But yeah, have a great day, everyone. Stay cool out there in the heat, and maybe we'll see you again sometime.